저는 PT 아카데믹 영어 시험이 호주에서 공부하거나 비주얼 취득하려는 많은 사람들에게 도움이 되기를 바랍니다. 네. Yeah, my name is Matthew Lampkin. I'm Asia Pacific Regional Manager for Pearson with PT Academic. I'm originally British, but I've been in the UK, been in Australia for 4.5 years now, and I used to teach English in South Korea for 4.5 years. I find the pronunciation and fluency when they speak is very clear, but often Koreans don't always practice English as much in South Korea. They don't always have that opportunity to practice, so sometimes quite hesitant and sometimes not as confident, but the pronunciation and fluency and speed of the speech I find very good. They are different, but if you go somewhere like Melbourne, it's very international. So you get students from all over the world and they would have learned different forms of English, British English, American English. So with a test like PT Academic, we never focus on one accent in particular. So it's international English, so it doesn't matter what you've learnt. The accents are fine. What's important is clear, coherent communication. Occasionally, if you read an English word in Hangul, maybe you add too many syllables, like lunchy instead of lunch. Those little things. But just a bit of practice, and I think it's fine. Now, what is PTMY? PT Academic is an internationally recognized computer-based English language test that you can take to enter a university and college around the world. So not just Australia, but UK, US, Canada, New Zealand, and you can also use it for all visa categories here in Australia as well as New Zealand. So I think there are 3 key points with PT Academic. The first one, that it's very fast. So you can book a test as little as 24 hours in advance if there's a session available, and get the results typically 5 business days. In fact, last year the average was results in about 85% in just 2 days. The next point is the fairness. So we don't make any judgments of you in the test center. So your test results get uploaded and sent to Pearson centrally to be assessed using our automated scoring system. So we use a lot of AI. So we try to remove any bias. Third key point is that it's accepted for what you need it for, whether it's study or migration. So what this means is that you now have a choice which English test to take, and that's very powerful for any student. They can choose the option that best suits themselves, no matter what it is, and that will help them get the best chance of passing and doing what they want to do. See, that's the key question: which test is easier? I think it largely depends on the individual. So now that there is a choice, someone can go for the one that suits them. So with PTE, we test in just over 50 countries around the world, and somewhere in like Australia. 3 years ago, no one had heard of our test. Now it's very big. Across Australia every week, we run over 200 test sessions. So here in Melbourne today, we probably have 10 test sessions going on across our network of test centres. So now it's got very, very big in Australia, and we ask every student, why did you take PTE? Why did you choose it? And we give them many options. Did they read about it on a website, from a university, from an agent, from many different things? But most students around the world say their friend recommended it to them. Which we think is a really strong sign that people are having a score that they think is fair, and it's helping many people enter university or apply for what they need an English test score. And that's how it's got really, really big, really. PTE, you have a reading, writing, speaking, listening section. So you do the whole test in 1 3-hour session on computer at one of our test centers. So you're wearing a headset for the speaking. And there are 20 types of question in total. With PTE, we have I suppose more questions than some other tests, but many small ones. So that means if you make a few mistakes, it doesn't matter too much because there are many small questions, you can build a consistent score. The hardest part of PTE, I think that's a very personal question. I think for me personally, I found the reading more difficult.
Why?
But I'm not sure, I think that's just me, really. 3 tips for getting a high score.
Just 3.
I think the first one I would say is to practice. The format of the test is a little different from other tests. We have scored online practice tests on our website. They're 3 hours long, exactly the same as a real test, and you get the results very quickly, so you can do it at home. So if you understand the format and you're familiar with it, you understand how much time you have on each question, when you go into the exam, you'll feel more relaxed and you can perform at your best. Second tip, I would say, don't think too much about scoring. Often people want to know how each question is scored and get in lots of detail about that. But that's a bit dangerous because when you're answering a question, you could overthink the scoring and not actually concentrate on answering the question. So try not to do that. You can confuse yourself with PTE if you do that too much. The third point, people often ask about the speaking. Should they whisper? Should they shout in the speaking? Where should they have the microphone? I'd recommend just talking normally. I think practice is the key word. Sometimes a student may come to Melbourne and spend a lot of time talking to other people of their own nationality in their own language. It can help if you try and mix with other Australians. Maybe join a club, try and practice. When I lived in Korea, I thought that like magic, I would just absorb Korean and I would learn how to speak it very quickly, but it didn't happen. So if I'm just talking to other Western people, my Korean's not going to get any better. So try and get some Australian friends, practice, join a club. You could even record your own voice. You could do something called shadowing. So you copy what someone says maybe on a drama or a song, and you can record your own voice and play it back and you can hear how clear it sounds. The test is valid for 2 years, so that's the industry standard. For different purposes, say different visas, Department of Home Affairs may choose to accept English tests for a longer or shorter period. So I would check with the Department of Home Affairs around that. But the industry standard for these English tests tends to be 2 years.
2 years.
저는 PT 아카데믹 영어 시험이 호주에서 공부하거나 비주얼 취득하려는 많은 사람들에게 도움이 되길 바랍니다. 네, 고맙습니다.
Thank you. I like the laughter.